Being the only dance educator in a building can be incredibly isolating. You're planning alone, advocating alone, explaining your program over and over again alone. And yet you're expected to show up with creativity, energy, and leadership every single day. If that sounds familiar, this episode's for you. Today I'm showing how to sustain creativity when you're the only one in the building and real examples that actually work. When you're the only dance teacher, you're often doing more than teaching technique. You're running a program, you're building culture, you're developing students socially, emotionally, creatively, and academically, among the many other unofficial roles we hold as teachers. But too often, that work goes unseen. I remember when I shared what my job was, most would say, "Oh, that must be fun." Honestly, while their intention may have been good, those words made me cringe. I love dance, but teaching in a program that had students that may or may not want to be in your class has its challenges. Teaching in a school community that may or may not support dance has even more challenges. I've seen it all. My journey wasn't all butterflies and roses, but overall, I eventually felt seen. I've worked with countless educators who feel invisible, not because their work lacks value, but because no one has helped them translate that value to the rest of the building. Sustaining creativity starts with understanding this. You are not just teaching dance. One of the most powerful ways to sustain creativity is being visible on purpose. I've seen dance teachers completely shift how their program is perceived simply by saying yes to moments like choreographing for a pep rally. That was so much fun for me. I called them my teacher dance team, and no, they didn't always do their choreography homework. Having students perform at assemblies. I did this to let others in the building know what my students were doing in class so that they can see their value in their own classrooms. Showing up at school events that were unrelated to dance. I had the honor of teaching at my alma mater, but I was generally interested in other events that were happening. Support is a two-way street. When administrators see students or their teachers dancing with confidence and joy, they see leadership, discipline, teamwork, and pride. Visibility doesn't mean performing all the time. It means letting people see the impact of your work. Another key strategy, be in the room where decisions are made. Serving on committees, school improvement teams, arts councils, leadership teams gives your program a voice beyond the studio walls. This is where advocacy becomes strategic. You learn how your school talks about success and you get to be a part of the conversation. You understand district language. You position dance as part of the solution, not an add-on. When you speak up in these spaces, you're not just representing dance, you're representing your students, culture, and creativity. One way that made it easier at my school was having a close arts team who rotated volunteering for school or district-based opportunities. That way we knew that the arts was part of all solutions and that we were heard. One of the biggest mindset shifts I teach is this. Stop describing your program using only dance terms. Yes, we teach choreography, technique, and performance, but what you're really developing goes much deeper. We're developing communication. Students learn how to express ideas without words through timing, body language, and presence. They also practice explaining their choices, giving feedback, speaking with clarity. Even my youngest students practice communicating ideas through movement and simple reflections like, "What did your dance show?" Middle schoolers begin articulating intention and responding to peer feedback with respect, and high school students might be able to explain choreographic decisions, lead discussions, and present their work with confidence. We're developing collaboration. Dance is teamwork. Students learn how to work through differences, share responsibility, and lead together, whether they're in a duet or a full ensemble. We're developing critical thinking. Every rehearsal is problem solving. Students adjust their spacing, timing, musicality, making decisions in real time. They analyze structure, patterns, and transitions in choreography. They evaluate, revise, and refine work based on feedback reflection. We're developing confidence, not just performance confidence, but confidence to try, fail, recover, and show up again. Students build that confidence by being seen, celebrated, and encouraged to move freely. Dance becomes a safe space when their confidence sometimes is fragile. And we're developing college and career readiness. Students learn professionalism early, how to prepare, rehearse, receive feedback, manage their time, and work with others. Students learn routines, expectations, and responsibility in a structured, creative environment. So yes, we do teach dance, but when you talk about your program as whole child development, people listen differently. Dance becomes leadership training. Dance becomes workforce development. Dance becomes a pathway, not just an extracurricular activity. Sustaining creativity also means knowing when to ask for help. That might look like reaching out to teaching artists, collaborating with theater or music colleagues, inviting guest artists or master classes, asking administrators for support instead of waiting for permission. And I want to be clear, asking for help doesn't mean giving up control. It means coming with a plan. Early in my teaching career, I realized I couldn't be everything for my students. They needed exposure to styles, cultures, professional pathways beyond my own experience. So instead of waiting for permission, I built a proposal. I identified the gaps in my curriculum. I researched teaching artists who could fill them, and I mapped out how guest artists would directly support student learning. I didn't just say, can we bring someone in? I said, here's how this supports our students, aligns with our goals, and strengthens our dance program. That approach led to guest artists, master classes, and long-term partnerships, and eventually became the foundation for From the Stage to the Classroom. Being the only one doesn't mean doing everything alone. Some of the strongest programs I've seen were built by educators who weren't afraid to say, I need support and my students deserve it. Finally, tell your own story. That might be posting rehearsal clips on social media, sharing student reflections in a newsletter, sending a short update to administrators, inviting them in the classroom, highlighting growth, not just performances. When you control the narrative, you protect your creativity. You stop waiting to be validated and start being understood. If you're the only dance educator in your building or even your district, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not alone, and your work matters deeply. Creativity is sustained through visibility, advocacy, connection, and courage. If you're looking for community, tools, and ongoing support, join the growing Dance Educator community and the Dance Educator Exchange. Spaces created specifically for educators navigating this work. And don't forget to subscribe to The Movement Inspires for more conversations about leadership, advocacy, and sustaining your creative life.